Well, here we go again. It's video blog number 16, I think. These are catching on. People seem to really like them, and it's a good way to get information back and forth. Once again, you want to get a question through. It seems to be the most popular way is at my Facebook page, which is Motormouth Canada. You can leave a longer question there, or you can do it by following at Twitter. It's at Driving with Zack. Make sure you sign up for Twitter because you get notifications of all of the videos and stuff that I do, and Motormouth Canada stuff's posted there as well. So any way you want to get a question through, that's good. I just want to let you know, I've been so busy traveling. I'm home for a couple of days. I was just actually in Montreal last week. The video I'm going to do on the Jeep Renegade will be ready in the next couple of days. Then I'm going back to Quebec, north of Montreal, going to Mont-Tremblant to drive the new Kia Sorento, which is beautiful. They did a nice job on the styling of that, so looking forward to driving it. Then I'm going to be home for about a week, and then I'm going to drive the Golf Sport Wagon. I actually have a question here. Are you going to be driving the new Golf Sport Wagon soon? That's from Gordon Bombay. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be in Austin, Texas driving that. Then I'm back, and then I'm going on spring break with the kids and my family, so getting a bit of a break. So lots going on, and that's why sometimes it takes a little while to get new videos updated. All right, here's the first question. It comes from Chi Lu Lee. It says, hey, Zach, in the market for a used SUV, I found 2 ads. I was wondering if you could tell me whether I should go for the 2013 Nissan Rogue. That's the last of the previous generation. That's an S with all-wheel drive. Or a 2014 Rogue S front-wheel drive. They're both around 17,000 kilometers on them in Calgary. One is selling for 19, and the 2014 is selling for 21,000. If it was me, well, first of all, if the vehicle is the older generation and it's a year older, you should be saving more than $2,000 or $3,000 off the price of that vehicle. Now, it does have all-wheel drive, which is going to make it definitely more attractive. What I would do is if you want all-wheel drive, keep a lookout for that and wait to get one. But the new Rogue, I believe, is much better. There's no advantage to having the old Rogue versus the new one for engine and transmission because a lot of it is carried over. They did modify the continuously variable transmission in the latest one, that makes it better, actually. But the interior, the amenities, the size, the packaging, and everything that's gone into the new Rogue definitely makes it worth it. So, depends how tight your budget is. If it's a really tight budget to get that one at, what's the price here? $19,000, get that one. If you can make the stretch and get the more expensive one, I don't think you'll be disappointed. And the reality is, if you put proper winter tires on it, you can get anywhere you want. Eric Zhang says, hey Zach, fan of the show, looking for tire advice. I'm in southwestern Ontario in Kitchener-Waterloo. I drive an '07 Civic automatic, looking to replace my summer tires when the snow melts. Can you recommend a tire that is sporty handling, confident highway ride, good tread life, costs less than $800 before installation? Tires are 205/45/16s. Now, there are so many options available to anybody, especially with a mass-produced car like a Honda Civic. You have so many options. So for me to say, hey, you should go and buy this tire is kind of foolish. The best advice I can give you is to go to TireRack.com. That's the United States' huge tire portal. And it's not so much that you're going to buy the tires from there, but they have a little calculator that you can punch in whether you want handling, you want longevity, you want all of those sorts of things. And then you put in your tire size, and it pumps out a list of all of the tires that fit that criteria for your specific car. Then you can shop closer at home with that information at hand, or you can order them from them. They do have good discounts in the United States at TireRack.com, but that's not really helping the local tire retailers here. Keep in mind, though, you're going to be spending about 25% more with the currency exchange these days. So another great place to buy tires, Costco has great deals on tires, but do the calculation on Tire Rack, see what spits out, and then go from there. This one comes from Tomas Francisco. Says, hey Zach, question for your video blog. Thoughts on the BMW 228i, a middle-aged guy looking for a fun sporty car between $30,000 and $40,000 US dollars. I'm cross-shopping the Golf R and the GTI and the 228. I'm really impressed by how fun the 228 is. Asking your opinion. Practicality is less important as we have an SUV for family duties. I would get the new Mustang GT, but my wife can't drive a car with such a big long hood. She loves the GTI and the 228. If I order a 228 custom order, I can keep it in the low 30s. I wish we could do that in Canada. Let me know what you think. All right. If you like the the GTI and the 228, these are very different vehicles. One is a front-wheel drive car, and the other one is a rear-wheel drive car. One is, you know, not as upscale. The BMW definitely has a more upscale interior, more amenities. And if you're somebody that likes that rear-wheel drive feel like you would get with a big Mustang GT, then probably the BMW is the way to go. If, however, you're just wanting a little practical runabout car that's going to be fun to drive and you don't mind it being front-wheel drive, then the GTI. If you want the all-wheel drive, you can get the 2 Series in all-wheel drive, and you can also get the Golf R. But probably of those three, between the GTI and the 228, I think the 228 is a more advanced machine for your money. But if you can get it for that little, then go for it. Republic of Doyle, regular, here's a couple of questions. Dennis DeRosier, Canada's leading automotive analyst, says that half of all customers who lease in Canada buy the vehicle at the end of the lease. Is the United States different? I'm not sure, but what we're really seeing now is a change in buying behavior because of the Great Recession. So many car manufacturers got out of leasing altogether because of the financial crisis. They couldn't get the lending and all of that in place. And we're starting to see leasing creeping back, mostly for the domestics, because the import manufacturers, BMW, Volvo, Audi, all of those import manufacturers, they kept the leasing going. And if you look at a BMW or a Mercedes or an Audi, almost all of them are leased. Even people who can afford these very, very expensive models still lease them because they want to have their money doing something else, maybe in the stock market or something. So a lot of people do buy the car, and leasing is a really good way to buy a car because you get a 3 or 4 year test drive, really, if you think about it, because you're signing the lease. The company owns the car, you're leasing it every month from them, and then at the end of the 3 or 4 years, it's already determined price what the vehicle's going to be worth, and you can decide to, you know, give them a check or get a loan and pay that for the vehicle and continue driving it. But that's a really good, that 3 or 4 years is a fantastic test drive. If it's been into the shop all the time and has got lots of squeaks and rattles and you're not happy with it, just give the keys back. However, if you like the vehicle and you think you want to keep it, then you've been test driving it for 3 or 4 years. And here's the other thing. Vehicles that are 3 or 4 years old that are owned by the manufacturer, not by you, and then you buy it from them at the end of the lease, the car qualifies as a used car, so it can get a certified pre-owned extended warranty at the end of its lease. That's something to consider. Republic of Doyle, Ian goes on to say, mechanic says automakers are basically lying and that the old to 5,000 to 8,000 kilometer service routine should be followed. He goes on to say that, you know, auto manufacturers are extending the distance of the intervals to have low operating costs. But he's saying, his mechanic is claiming that you should still keep the 5,000 to 8,000 oil changes up. And this is true. You can get some cars now where they have, you know, up to 24,000 kilometers in between services. And that's a long, long time to be on, you know, the original oil in the car, or, you know, in between oil changes. We are seeing more and more, especially in higher end cars, using synthetic oil. The tolerances of the engines are so much more precise than they used to be. But here's the thing. If you plan on keeping your car long term, then, and you want to keep it for 10 plus years, it's probably in your best interest to get the oil changed more often than these, you know, anywhere from 12 to 25,000 kilometer oil changes. And he's absolutely right. The auto manufacturers are selling you this car or leasing you this car, even more importantly, and they say that the maintenance is included. BMW does this. So you go and get a 3 Series BMW, you're going to have it for 3 or 4 years, and for the first 3 years, everything is included. Well, they stretch those service intervals out to a longer period of time, so it costs them less money, and if you were to have a car that wasn't covered with maintenance, it makes it cheaper to own that car over the period of time. So if you're at all concerned about this and you're worried that they're making these intervals far too long, then just go and get oil changed more regularly. It doesn't cost that much. Nicholas Paris says, any thoughts on tuning cars for a bit more power, especially turbos? Have you tuned your cars personally? Well, I have done. I had an old 5 Series BMW that I put a chip in, and it made a little bit of difference. Tuning really is best for turbos. You can turn up the boost. Dynon does a great job with BMWs. Right from the dealership, you can have a tuning chip or an upgrade flash CPU to your vehicle. It gives a lot more power, more torque, and all those sorts of things. You're stressing the engine more. Always keep that in mind. So what happens is that Dynon then covers the vehicle under warranty. If you just go and you get one of these tuning things from a Napa store or something like that, plug it in, and then start jacking around with the turbo and turning up the boost and all those sorts of things, it voids your warranty. So be very, very careful. If the car is out of warranty, then that's something you might want to fart around with. But then always remember, if you're turning up the boost on a turbo and getting more power out of it, you are straining the engine. So I always think it's probably best to buy the car that has the power you like. For example, if you want a car that's more powerful, buy a more powerful car. If you're going to take a less expensive car, a less powerful car, and then jack up the power, you're going to be stressing the engine. Just something to keep in mind. This one comes from iBros. It says, do you think the price difference between the Golf R and the GTI is justified by the performance differences? Well, there's a whole lot more going on than just performance. First of all, you're going from 210, I think it is, 210 horsepower in the GTI up to 300 or just under 300 horsepower with the Golf R. So that's a huge gulf, get it, in power difference. But you also get all-wheel drive as standard equipment. You can't even get that in the GTI. You also get a full load pretty much on the inside. It's got everything in it. And you only need a couple of options to tick the boxes. Even fully loaded, the Golf R is going to be less expensive than the Audi S3 that shares the same platform's starting price. So I think the Golf R is a hell of a deal for somebody who's looking for a 300 horsepower car, all-wheel drive, nicely finished, wonderful to drive, and pretty much kitted out with everything you could ever want. The GTI, you start adding in all of the same features you get in the Golf R, the price difference really isn't that much, and you get a lot more power. So it all comes down to how much you can afford. If you can only afford a Golf GTI, then buy the GTI. It's a fantastic car. If you can afford the Golf R, that's probably the one to get. Once again, getting more golf questions than anything else. I don't know what it is. Hopefully they're going to sell as many as I get questions for, that's for sure. Once again, on the road a lot. Keep the questions coming. Thanks for watching. Keep watching all the other reviews. Oh, by the way, here's a little thing. If I put a video up and you watch it quickly and then you click like quickly, that helps me with my channel. Apparently the algorithm with Google, that's really important. How quickly you watch it, how quickly you like it. So have at it. If you could do that, that'd be fantastic. Thanks for watching. See you next time.